Good evening, students. Am I audible? Am I visible? Vansh, good evening. Chanu, good evening. So, is Diwali celebrated in Manipur? Chanu? Good. So, others, good evening. Karishma, living near a blue flag beach. VL, good evening. Okay. I hope this year you celebrate and next year everything goes back to normal. Well, when I was coming to office, I could see the excitement that people have when a big festival is around. And sadly, I had to go to work, so I was not one of them who was very excited. Hello, Shaktiraj. Hello, Harshita. Harshita, where are you from? Most of the people I know, where are they from? ये वंश कहाँ पर हो हरियाणा से? Okay, Rajasthan. Rohtak, okay, not very far away. So let us start with this topic, Research, Development and Innovation India Scheme, RDI scheme. So what I've told you about how to approach any scheme. What is the way to approach a scheme? Can anyone tell me? Shaktiraj, I'll come to your question, don't worry. So what to do whenever you encounter a particular scheme of the government? No, whenever you encounter any scheme of the government, ask yourself a question, what might have been the reason why the government has introduced the scheme? There must be some problem. To address that problem, don't you think government brings a scheme? Right? So what might be the problem here? Can anyone tell me? Now to bring innovation, don't you think you require research and development? To bring innovation, don't you need research and development? You know how much India spends on total research and development funding? It is 0.64% of its GDP. This is India's total spending on research and development activities. So is it more or is it less? Any idea? You know how much China spends? 2.1% of its GDP. You know how much South Korea spends? Who are big K-pop fans? How many K-pop fans here? I don't know the name of that band. BTS. Yes, how many BTS fans here? You know how much South Korea spends on R&D? 4.9%. Now compare these spending with that of India. So don't you think R&D spending in India is less? And you know one big problem in this also, that 2/3 of total spending on R&D in India, it is done by government only. So private sector, which ideally should spend more on R&D, it is spending only 1/3 of 0.64% of its GDP. So this is the problem government is looking to address. To first of all, increase the overall spending on R&D, and second of all, to promote private sector also to increase their spending on R&D. Understood this? So now when you read the scheme, everything would become very easy. This seeks to catalyze private sector participation in high impact R&D, strengthening India's strategic technological capabilities. So to develop high technologies, missiles, electronics, everything you need R&D. And for that, two special funds are created inside RDI, Special Purpose Fund, which will be set up under Anusandhan National Research Foundation, and it would be a custodian of 1 lakh crore of rupees. And will it be directly invested in industries? No. It will be channeled through second level managers to deploy. Second is second level fund managers. It may include AIFs, NBFCs, etc. So this would give funding to the institutions who would then give out the loans, okay, for R&D related purposes. And what is the mode of financing here? Low to zero rates, loans, equity infusion, especially for deep tech funds of funds. And financing, it may cover 50% of assessed project cost. You know why it is covering 50% of assessed project cost? Because the rest would have to be invested by private sector. Not 100% loan, Shakti Raj. पहले पूरा सुन लो. Well, from that logic, everything might become victim for corruption. But that does not mean now we stop giving it. Is corruption given? Why does corruption happen? Because we let it happen. If we stop corruption, if we decide to stop corruption, don't you think it would stop? Or it would at least reduce, if not eliminate? Now, what is Operation Chakra 5th? Not Chakravi, Chakra 5th. Right? In this operation, CBI has arrested people in connection with transnational cyber fraud case based on input given by I4C. What is I4C? It is a government initiative to combat cybercrime in India, and it facilitates easily filing of cybercrime and identifying cybercrime trends and patterns. And it comes under which ministry? Home Affairs Ministry, Mota Bhai ka ministry. Mota Bhai means elder brother in Gujarat. Shakti Raj would agree. And this body assists states in capacity building of officials in area of cyber forensics, cyber hygiene, and cyber criminology. And there are 4 types of scams: digital arrest, trading scam, investment scam, romance and dating scam. I've already told you what is romance scam, right? Can you tell me what is investment scam? How many of you have seen? How many of you have seen फिर हेरा फेरी? How many of you have seen फिर हेरा फेरी? Do you remember this scene? इक्कीस दिन में, नॉट 25 days. 25 days तो राजपाल यादव को सुनाता है. 21 days में money double. 21 दिन में पैसा double. Doubling money 21 days. These kind of scams, when they happen online, that is a trading scam. Now we have very chotu current affairs to cover today. What is a crew escape system? Tell me. What is crew escape system? Can anyone tell me? Why are we testing it first of all? Can anyone tell me? दिमाग चलाओ. Let your brain work. Now, right now, what kind of objects do we send into space presently? What kind of objects does India send into space? satellites, right? Now, if something bad happens to the launch vehicle or the rocket, the satellite might get destroyed. Okay, that is the worst thing that can happen. So this is basically a monetary loss for a country. But now, as we are looking to undertake Gaganyaan, which is sending astronauts into space, one more big challenge has come. What if the rocket malfunctions at the time of its takeoff or at the time of its liftoff? Sorry for the word takeoff. So you need to have an emergency system where the crew module would detach from the rocket automatically and would ensure safety of the life of astronauts, right? So this is what is crew escape system. Why it becomes significant? Because of the upcoming Gaganyaan mission. And it is a dedicated safety mechanism developed by ISRO to rapidly separate the crew module from the launch vehicle in case of a critical malfunction. Right? So how it functions, that becomes important. The crew escape system pulls the crew module away from the rocket using high thrust motors that generate acceleration up to 10 G. Right? And after separation, a multi-stage parachute system will be deployed, which would ensure a safe splashdown of this crew module in the sea. And ultimately, they will be recovered by the Navy. And the integrated vehicle health management system is also there, which would ensure that the life support system as well as landing support system is provided to the crew module. So this is basically an emergency situation. What if rocket malfunctions? Don't you think from a scientific point of view, we'll have to be ready for everything? Then only our mission is more likely to succeed. We'll have to take into account everything that can happen, good things, bad things, right? What is our primary intention here? To ensure safe recovery and safety of our astronauts. Yes, it includes parachute also. Land कहाँ से करता है? It does not have braking like the normal aircrafts do, which deploy flappers. So these kind of systems, they use a parachute to reduce the speed before splashdown. Now tell me, why does spacecrafts land on water? Any idea? Why do spacecrafts land on water? Does every spacecraft in the history of mankind has landed on water? Safer, less cost intensive, and also less complexity. Have you heard of this space shuttle? Have you heard of space shuttle? Columbia space shuttle. How many of you remember what was Columbia space shuttle? Space shuttle was a reusable spacecraft designed and developed by NASA. It had 4 or 3, I don't remember the specific number. One of the space shuttle was called as Columbia. And because of the disaster of Columbia, one of the Indian origin astronauts of NASA, Mrs. Kalpana Chawla, she died unfortunately. And space shuttle was able to land like a normal plane. But most of the space crafts these days, they land or splash down on water because of safety purposes. And to make a spacecraft land like an aircraft, you need much more complex systems, which most of the organizations don't have expertise in. Understood this? Now, what is Project Seabird? Project Seabird is an Indian Navy's largest infrastructural development project. In first phase, it established a basic operational facilities, INS Kadamb, and in second phase, it is going to increase berthing facility, dual use air bases, residential complexes, and it is aimed to make Karwar the largest naval base in Asia. Where is INS Karwar? Can anyone tell me? Where is INS Karwar? Any idea where Kalpana Chawla got her engineering degree from? In Karnataka, Karwar. Kalpana Chawla got her engineering degree from Punjab Engineering College, which is in Chandigarh. So I have a few friends who went to that college, and the first thing they told me, I come from a college where Kalpana Chawla also went. So you can understand the kind of pride people have when one of their own went to space. And now we are going to send one of our own into space on our own. So this is a very big achievement. Now let us talk about another thing. That is the India's synchronous elephant estimation report. So what are important characteristics of elephant? Can anyone tell me? What are important characteristics of elephant? HHP, sorry. बताओ अपने से. Whatever you know. Otherwise, I'll tell you. Now let us discuss habits of elephant. The elephant group is led by male elephant or female elephant. It is led by oldest female elephant in the group. Oldest female elephant. And they have a gestation period of 22 weeks. Sorry, 22 months. You know what is gestation period? That is the pregnancy period. This is the largest ever pregnancy period known in any mammal. And female elephants, they can bear a child up to 60 years of age. The frequency of how much they can bear a child obviously gets less as they get older, but a female elephant can bear a child even when she is 60 years of age. Now, what are known habitats of elephant? Can anyone tell me? Karnataka has the highest proportion of elephants in India, followed by Assam, followed by Tamil Nadu. And India hosts 60% of total wild elephants in the world. And what is the protection status of elephant? IUCN. It is endangered in Wildlife Protection Act, and in CITES it is in Schedule 1 and Appendix 1 respectively. Understood all this thing about elephant? Any doubt? What kind of species of elephant is available in India? What is that species called? Asian elephant. Any doubt, students? Now, top states by population we have already covered. How frequently does human census happens? How frequently does human census happens? Students, again, you guys are very dead today. 10 years. How frequently does elephant census happens? Elephant census happens once every 5 years. This year it was delayed, but actually it should be held once every 5 years. You know which body conducts this census? Wildlife Institute of India, which is a part of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Okay? How are elephants counted? Can anyone tell me? How are elephants counted? Do you physically count each and every elephant? Is it scientific? Can you do that? Tell me, budding forest officers, how many of you want to join Indian Forest Service? Not footprint. Yes, sample counting. So first, sample counting happens. What happens that they will fix a particular area. This time they fixed a 100 square kilometers area and divided into 4 grids of 25 square kilometers each. And they would count the amount of elephants in this particular area and they would extrapolate this figure. Right? Similarly, they also use what is known as genetic fingerprinting. You know how they obtain the genetic samples of elephant? Through their dung, through their excreta. You know why they use dung to find elephants' DNA? Any idea? It is very easy to find elephants' dung. You know why? They defecate 16 to 18 times every day. Funny, right? How much times they defecate? 16 to 18 times a day. And they would find the DNA data of elephants from their dung because it is very easy to find a dung of elephant. Well, physical counting of elephants obviously is very difficult because many elephants live in the wild. Elephants also live in remote areas. So there is a possibility that you won't be able to physically count all of them, and even if you're able to do that, it would take a lot of time and money. So this is called as genetic mark recapture methods. Now, what is different in case of tiger census? Why principles of tiger census is not applicable on elephant? Can anyone tell me this? Now, tigers on their body, they have distinctive patterns of their black and orange colors. Yes, body mark of tiger. This is not the case with elephant. So, you have to take the help of DNA of the elephant. Now, this year, the survey which has happened after 2017, it has highlighted that this year the elephant count was 17% less. And the regional distribution, highest amount of elephant is available in Western Ghats, followed by Northeastern India, followed by Shivalik Hills, followed by Central India. Understood? So these are important data. Any doubt? So what is important? Stuffs about elephant. What is important? How this survey is conducted. Who conducts this survey? How frequently it is. Any doubt, students? Now, whenever you are going to become a bureaucrat, whenever you will face a problem, what you will do? I've told you this multiple times in the classes. If not your class, I've told you in some other classes also. Whenever you face a problem, when you're in an important position, how do you get out of that problem? तुम्हें कुछ नहीं करना है. What you'll have to do is you have to create a separate committee or commission to do a study on that problem. And they would in their report suggest you what to do. This is the right way of doing bureaucracy. कभी भी किसी चीज में फंसे, order creation of a commission, order creation of a committee. Bring field experts in that committee and ask them what I should do. And they will give you a report कि भाई ये करो. This is the right way of doing anything that you don't know. So suppose you're an IAS officer and there is a problem related to environment. Do you have the where and withdrawals of how to study an environment? No. There are environmental experts, there are professors. So you take their help. Why? By forming a committee or commission. Understood? So whenever center has to distribute taxes to state governments, what does central government do? क्या करता है central government? It takes the help of finance commission. Whenever government and opposition don't agree on passage of a bill, what do? They send that bill for consideration of a standing committee in parliament. Let standing committee burn its brain, suggest what to do. क्या हो गया सबको आज? Why are everyone so slow? मन नहीं लग रहा है? करिश्मा, हर्षिता, वंश, चानू, शक्तिराज, ध्यान दिवाली पे है. Now, what does IUCN do? What does IUCN do? Tell me. IUCN prepares and updates the list of IUCN Red List of threatened species. It coordinates with specialist group of different species and ecosystem. It provides scientific input for conservation policy and action. So how do you think they would come to this conclusion? They take help of experts, and it has 6 expert commissions that gives it important advice, and it comprises of more than 9,000 experts and scientists from across the world. And this Species Survival Commission advises IUCN Secretariat on global biodiversity and species conservation matters. Understood? So, Species Survival Commission is a commission of experts who advises IUCN how they should prepare and update IUCN Red List. Anything that you have to remember specifically in this? No. So, future bureaucrats, all of your future bureaucrats, right? All of your future bureaucrats, right? So, what will you do when you face a problem? Whenever you face something very tricky, with something you don't know, how to approach that problem, what will you do? What will be your order? Take help of experts. Make a commission out of them, let them do their work, and let them submit a report to you. And then you do what the report says. Simple. Simple. I told you na, this class is basically Labasna light. You know na what is Labasna? पता है ना this institution, Labasna, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. Where is it located? Which city in India? Mussoorie. Where is it located? Which state? Uttarakhand. Good. Not United Kingdom. How many of you know this organization? How many of you know what this organization does? I knew this was coming, Shaktiraj. That is why I asked this question. All of us agree to this? What this organization does? Basically, very hypocritical. It can't see that terrorists who are coming into India from across the border, they are violating human rights of Indian citizens. It can't see that. But when Indian armed forces catches an on-ground worker, any idea what that on-ground worker is? You know what on ground workers are? These are normal people who provide aid and support to militants, who provide aid and support to terrorists, to Naxalists. So if Indian armed forces, Indian police forces arrest any on-ground workers, this UNHRC would start crying that you're violating their human rights. Where were they when terrorists violate our Indian citizens, our innocent citizens, their human rights? But emotions aside, this is an important body. So we'll also have to understand what it does basically, right? Purely from a very non-emotive perspective. We have to be very logical. We have to be very realist about this organization, right? Apne opinions, you all have an opinion. I agree to that. Even I have an opinion. But for us, professionalism comes first. So for us, we have to study this organization just as it is. Okay? So this was established in 2006 in which city? Geneva, Switzerland. What have I told you about important headquarters of a body? Is it ever located in a developing country? What Switzerland has to do with human rights? Earlier, there was United Nations Commission for Human Rights and it became UNHRC. Right? And this works under United Nations Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights. Now it is responsible for promoting and protecting human rights globally. It investigates human rights violation including genocide, war crimes, racial discrimination, and it publishes a report called as Universal Periodic Review, which allows assessment of human rights records of all UN member states. So when US Army went inside Iraq on the false pretext of weapons of mass destruction, they did not cry human rights violation. And UNHRC, it consists of 47 member states who are elected by United Nations General Council for 3-year term. And seats have been distributed based on regional distribution. So which group have most of the seats? Africa and Asia Pacific, right? And elections take place every year and the country is not eligible for immediate re-election after serving 2 consecutive terms. And earlier India has been member of UNHRC for 6 times. Understood this? What is important? You'll have to remember this. And is it the first time India has gotten elected to UNHRC? No. How many members are there? 47 members. Elected by UNGA for which term? 3-year term. Where is it headquartered? Where is it headquartered? Where is it headquartered? Geneva. Good. Have you heard of a kind of missiles called as manpads? Basically, these are smaller missiles which a soldier can carry on their shoulder and fire it to destroy an aerial target. Man-portable lightweight missile system, manpads. Shoulder firings, or you can even fire them from the ground. These are basically, you can carry them over. Bazooka is a very basic kind of a manpad. More technologically advanced manpads have tracking system also. So they are somewhat bigger than bazooka. Bazooka was smaller. These manpads are bigger, but small enough for a soldier to carry because they have been trained to carry them. And what is it used for? For short range air defense systems, right? And this we have procured from UK. How many of you have ridden metros? How many of you have been on a metro anywhere in Delhi, in Mumbai, in any city in India? Now the gates in metro now, in which you punch your card and it opens automatically, that gate is also mostly supplied by this company, Thales. It is a very big UK based company. And this is also making this missile. So whenever you get the chance, you'll enter inside the metro station now, inside the gates which open when you scan your card or coupon. That gate mostly is made by Thales. And you know, these kind of missiles that we are talking about, Manpad, these are designed for short range air defenses to detect and destroy high value drones, UAVs and other threats. And it has guidance systems. It has deployment modes. It can be used on tripod, vehicles or even through shoulder fired. And it operates on a laser beam guiding principle, which laser helps the missile to track and target the aerial system. Understood? And no, US did not provide Mujahideens with RPG. They provided them with Stinger missiles. Stinger is basically more advanced form of RPGs, rocket propelled grenade. You know, most of the Taliban fighters, how they have very good weapon systems, because US left them there. अब उनको मिल गया. One good thing about them that they're killing Pakistanis with it. I'm a very non-violent person, but when it comes to Pakistan, I have different opinion. Now, for you to understand time Rondeau crystal, it becomes important for, let me give you certain background. Have you heard of a normal crystal? Sorry. Have you heard of a normal crystal? Have you heard of a normal crystal? What are normal crystals made out of? Normal crystals are made out of atoms, which are arranged regularly. So it has a fixed structure. Understood this? Now, what is a time crystal? Now, this normal crystal repeats in which dimension? It repeats in space. So, suppose, have you seen a floor tile? So, if I implement floor tiles, it is an example of normal crystal, right? Now, what is a time crystal? It is something that repeats in time. So, can I give you an example of pendulum or a normal swing, a perfect swing that repeats or oscillates? So, what is the dimension here it is following? It is repeating in time. Normal crystals were repeating in space. So, pendulum and swings are an example of time crystal. Now, what we are going to study is time. We are going to study time rendezvous crystal. So, how are the time rendezvous crystal different than each other? Any idea? It basically repeats in time, but this was perfect repetition. This is imperfect repetition. Can anyone give me an example of anything that changes with respect to time, but that change is imperfect? Or it can repeat? Have you heard of a musician playing drums? So the intensity of his or her drumming might change, but that musician would probably repeat his movements once every few stanzas, right? So this is a combination of order and irregularity. Understood this? Now I'm making this as basic as you can imagine. This might not be 100% right, the examples that I've taken, but the purpose of me taking this example is to help you understand this complex subject. Now it is a new phase of matter that has both order and randomness in it. And the key properties are metastable order, which is the pattern can last for several seconds, far longer in certain systems also. It shows mixed temporal behavior and non-periodic driving. What are the applications of this crystal? It can be used for quantum information storage or quantum sensing. Okay. So what are the difference between normal and time crystal and TRC? I've already told you. Any doubt? ज़्यादा डीप में नहीं जाना है, just have to understand what is a time rendezvous crystal. Okay? इस पे क्वेश्चन कभी नहीं आएगा एग्जाम में. That kind of a stuff is important from your prelims perspective. It won't ever come in UPSC mains. In UPSC mains, questions are analytical in nature. They don't say that ये क्या है बताओ, like school exams. Because the students who give UPSC are minimum graduate level students, right? Now Supreme Court has announced that this year crackers can be busted in Delhi NCR. Can every cracker be busted in Delhi NCR? Anyone from Delhi NCR here? Shakti Raj, is this a physics optional or chemistry option class? Then क्लास एक ट्रैक पे चल रही होती है, शक्तिराज एक पैरेलल ट्रैक पे चल रहा होता है. कभी कभार शक्तिराज सोचता है इधर उंगली करूंगा, देन शक्तिराज ऑल्सो फॉलोज अ पैरेलल ट्रैक. इज इट सो शक्तिराज? Only green crackers are allowed by Supreme Court in India, and that too for a fixed duration of time. Okay. What is a green cracker? Is it a green colored cracker? Is it a green colored cracker? Is green color hydro bomb a green cracker? No. It is a cracker which has been made by chemicals developed by NEERI. NEERI is a lab which comes under CSIR. And CSIR itself comes under Department of Science and Technology. And for you to manufacture, you have to take license from PESO. PESO comes under which ministry? Can anyone tell me? PESO comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, particularly under DPIIT. And NEERI is a lab which would certify that yes, the cracker that you have made is a green cracker. And only NEERI certified crackers can be sold in Delhi. What NEERI does? It does environmental science and engineering, conducts research, offers technical solutions, shares expertise to improve environmental quality and health. What is PESO? PESO is responsible for ensuring safety in manufacturing, storage, handling and use of explosives, petroleum, compressed gases and fireworks. It comes under DPIIT. and headquartered where? Nagpur. Understood? Which acts are covered under PESO? Ye rat lena. What you'll have to remember, these acts. Very important. Have you seen a PYQ of FSSAI Act? That said which acts come or led to formation of SSAI. So this kind of question happens. So yes, you'll have to remember this. It might be tough, but please remember it. This is an important fact that you'll have to remember. Which acts are administered by PESO? Well, Supreme Court को याद नहीं आता है. Many people file cases in Supreme Court. That is why Supreme Court takes up. And don't you think they have done something good this time? They realize that if we impose a blanket ban, people are anyway going to get illegally the crackers and they are going to burn them. So why don't we regulate this problem? Blanket ban for everything is not a solution. Regulation is. Now this is an important article. Have you heard of Tomahawk missile? Have you heard of Tomahawk missile, anyone? Tomahawk missile is which kind of missile? Cruise missile. And it is a long range subsonic cruise missile. Subsonic means it travels with a speed less than the speed of sound. And it is designed for precision strikes. How many of you have seen Top Gun 2? How many of you have seen Top Gun 2? Top Gun Maverick, I guess the name was. So before the final attack, don't you see the Americans, they fire a missile to the enemy? Funnily, in the movie, there is no official name of the enemy. They just call them enemy, no country name. So they also hit a missile. That missile, the most famous cruise missile of US is Tomahawk. One good thing about Tomahawk is that it can travel quite far. But one substandard thing about Tomahawk is that it is slow. Which is faster than Tomahawk? Can anyone name that missile? BrahMos. BrahMos is a supersonic cruise missile. BrahMos is a missile which is made in India and tested where? Tested in Pakistan. This should be the tagline of BrahMos. Any idea what is the difference between ballistic missile and cruise missile? Any idea what is the difference between these two missiles? Now, ballistic missiles are launched from the ground. So suppose this is the Earth, right? Ballistic missiles would travel outside the atmosphere of the Earth. And they would then move towards their target. And when they are directly above their target, they would hit their target like this. So the trajectory of ballistic missile is much higher. It travels in outer space. Whereas cruise missiles takes off, travels and then hits the target. It travels much like an airplane. So you won't be able to see a ballistic missile going on unless it is directly above your head, and then it would be too late. But cruise missile, you can directly see cruise missiles going just like a plane would go. Which is easier to track, ballistic or cruise? Can anyone tell me? No, ballistic missile is easier to track because here you can take services of satellites and it would tell you the trajectory. But cruise missile has the ability to change the trajectory also. So it is difficult to track. It can change the direction also. Ballistic won't. But the biggest, most badass of the missiles is ballistic missile. Trajectory is the path it takes. What is the trajectory of a car? It travels on road. What is the trajectory of missile? It travels in the air. But how far in the air? That makes a missile ballistic or cruise missile. Cruise missile, as the name suggests, it would cruise like an aircraft. And ballistic would go first in the outer space. It would travel in outer space. Then it would re-enter into the atmosphere and hit the target. So ballistic missile in terms of complexity is a degree more complex than rockets. So if a country has made a ballistic missile, it is easier for them to make a rocket because rocket lifts off, goes in the outer space. But ballistic missile goes into the outer space, travel and then re-enters. So in terms of complexity or in terms of technology, ballistic missiles have higher technology as compared to rockets. Understood this difference? Any doubt? A question appeared on this topic, you know exactly what I'm discussing right now. Yes, MIRV. You know what is MIRV? Anyone? Let us suppose this is a ballistic missile. So in MIRV, there will be multiple warheads in a particular missile, in the pointy part of the missile. So when it has multiple warheads, these missiles or one missile from your side would be able to destroy multiple targets in the enemy. And it also makes it difficult for the enemy to prevent the target from happening or prevent the attack from happening. This is called as multiple independent re-entry vehicle, MIRV technology. And we have tested this on Agni 5. Agni 5 missile or Agni missile, Agni series of missile was developed under which program? Can anyone tell me? Have you heard of this? Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. Have you heard of this? Who was the head of this program? Any idea? Our former president, Dr. E.J. Abdul Kalam. And you know which 5 missiles were designed? That missile abbreviation is called as Patna. Prithvi, Agni, Trishul, Nag and Akash. Prithvi and Agni are ballistic missiles. Trishul was also a kind of a missile. I'm forgetting what Trishul was. Nag is an anti-tank missile and Akash is a surface-to-air missile. Akash we also know from Operation Sindoor. And what did we use in Operation Sindoor? Did we use Agni missile in Operation Sindoor? Astra is an independent program. India, believe it or not, is a superpower when it comes to missiles. Indian missiles are very high-tech, at the levels of the best in the world. What kind of missile is Astra? Can anyone tell me except Shakti Raj? Astra is a BVR missile, beyond visual range, air-to-air missile. So this is the abbreviation that you have to remember. 5 missiles under IGDMP, Patna. Patna is the capital city of which state? Yes. Why is Bihar in news these days? What was the ancient name of Patna? Not Mithila, Pataliputra. Mithila is the region, not Magad. Pataliputra. So that's all for today. We'll see each other again tomorrow. I hope everything you have brought, sweets, gifts, etc. for your loved ones. I hope your house has been cleaned by now. किस किस का रहता है? कर लो साफ. कब करोगे? लक्ष्मी जी नहीं आएंगी अदरवाइज. मनी वोंट कम टू योर हाउस. लक्ष्मी जी इज अ सिंबल ऑफ मनी, prosperity. Good, Harshita. Chalo, bye bye everyone. Have a good day.